YouTube to catch up. Loading preview, loading preview, loading preview. Looks like we might be there, and we are there. Going live, going live, going live. You're live. Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a great Friday. And if you're in the United States that celebrates the 4th of July, I hope you're having a great weekend with your family and all that. So I wanted to make a little bit of a different kind of video because I see people sort of nitpicking or just having, that's not a good word, just having a strong point of view that is different than mine, which is fine. But, mine's fine too. So I wanted to make a few videos on why I am enjoying Assetto Corsa Competizione so much. It's been out a little over a month. People tried it and have liked it. People have tried it and not liked it, but I definitely have spent a lot of time. I think I've got over 200 hours on it now. I've been playing since pre-release, so I do have a fair bit of experience. I spent a lot of time in multiplayer. I run in a league, and I have a server now. I just rented a server of my own for some of the Patreon members of one of my favorite YouTubers, Mr. Sean, and just trying to gin up interest in this because I think people may have gotten disillusioned by the May 29th release just because some of the little things that were just kind of a pain in the tush. I mean, I think one of the ones that really sort of turned one of my favorite YouTubers off was that you couldn't save in the career mode, and he was ahead of me in going through career mode because I was spending time in multiplayer, and you just can't sit down and race in career mode nonstop and not have to start over again. That's just too much of a pain. But that's all fixed, and they fixed it fairly quickly. I think we've had 5 releases. We're on 1.05 now. The big one that's yet to come is we're hoping for VR and triples. I'm not a big VR player because of the screen door effect, but some people really, really love it and swear by it, and I will be once we get something that people really rave about. I will be doing it, but I want to make a case over a few videos about why this could be an important sim for all of for people who really love sim racing. It's going to be a little bit rough because I am not a streamer or a YouTuber really. I just watch it. Just getting this video to work for this last couple of videos I've tried was an absolute enormous heavy lift because nothing that I wanted to do seemed to work properly. But let me just start with a couple of things here that kind of what I think about. I think really at the very highest level, why do I do this? And I've got pretty much all the sims. There's a couple of new ones like Automobilista, not newer, I didn't say it right. There's a couple of ones that I don't have like Automobilista or F1 2019, but I've got Project Cars 2, R Factor 2, Race Room, iRacing, GT Sport, Forza 7, Forza Horizon 4. I probably won't even remember them all, but I have been on all of them. I've spent a lot of time on iRacing. I did get an A-class rating in road racing, which is, I'm not that old of a driver, but I have spent some hours, put some hours into this. I drive a Fanatic DD1. The new Fanatic just came out not too long ago. I had a Fanatic CSW before that, so and controller before that, so definitely getting used to the sport. And I thought I'd put a definition up there on the screen. Let me just stop this for a second and talk about why. Now this is gonna be a little bit rough, guy, because I am not really a YouTuber creator, that is. So if I can, did I lose my sources? My sources went away. Where did my sources go? Well, I'm gonna have to read this because I don't see my sources now. But for me, this is what fits me. Now, it doesn't fit everybody, and I love everybody. I mean, all the people that have given counter views that I watch and subscribe to. So I'm not taking away from their opinion. This is just my opinion. But definition of a simulator: a machine with a similar set of controls designed to provide a realistic imitation of the operation of a vehicle, aircraft, or complex system. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that is a similar set of controls and gives me a realistic imitation as much as possible. Obviously, you don't have G-forces, you don't have some of that stuff. The other thing is, what is the definition of simulation? Simulation is an imitation of the operation of a real-world process or system. The act of simulating something first requires that a model be developed. This model represents the key characteristics, behaviors, and functions of the selected physical or abstract system or process. Kind of a long definition, but basically that someone's taken the time to make it seem like a real car. And there are some sims that I love to play that are definitely not sims. I mean, one of them, which I think is fun as heck, is Forza 7. I actually play it on Xbox. I've spent many hours on it. I got all the way to the Pinnacle Leagues. So I've put the hours in. Love collecting the cars, but it is definitely not a simulator or simulation. It is more of just a fun game to get into. And the spectrum is out there. And I think Wreckfest is really interesting. Wreckfest, with this physics modeling of cars falling apart and being bent up, is just a hoot. iRacing, some people would say that would be the pinnacle of simulation or a simulator. But for me, the tire modeling is not there. The braking is just not there. I mean, you can barely push on your brakes. Your tires are locking up. You can't really drive it like a car. I have a Porsche, so I mean, I have a high-performance car that I drive, high speed. I've been on a racetrack in a high-performance Ferrari. I've driven at Road Atlanta. I know what the brakes are capable of and how much they are, how critical they are to the feeling of racing. And I just don't get that from iRacing. Although iRacing has some great points, with its multiplayer, nobody can touch them. GT Sports, interesting. I think GT Sports is doing a lot of great work, and maybe the one that breaks out, especially if they release a PC version of it. They may be the breakout sim because they have the multiplayer and they're really working hard on their modeling, tire modeling, and a lot of different things. So, one of the most prolific, or the most, the highest end simulating developers in the world is a company called Cruden, C-R-U-D-E-N. They make simulators for the top teams in the world, starting, I think, at well over 100,000 US, and they're used by Formula One drivers. Le Mans people train. I mean, these are the big guys, right? They make curved screens that are as big as, half a house, that kind of stuff. Not quite that big, but you know what I mean. And they're, I was reading on their website, and they're saying visual input is the most important feedback for the driver. The graphics need to be accurate, realistic to provide the right reference. You need high fidelity control, loading, force feedback. You need a great car setup. And they actually make a custom ECU, electronic control unit, that I think actually you can take with you to work in your cars. So that's Cruden. Those are the big guys in the world of real racing. But what I think about, and what I'm going to talk about over the next few videos, is the things that are important. I think sound is critical. It kind of brings you into the world. I think visuals are important. Physics are critical, as I've been talking about. The setup is important, so I feel like I actually am a part of the car. Customization is important, and is it usable? And you can go through your favorite sim or most hated sim, and some of the UIs, user interfaces, are not usable, or they're barely usable, and you spend half your time hunting for something to click on to make it work. So that's sort of the high level, but You know, let's tune in here for a second to Assetto Corsa Competizione and listen to the sounds. Go through a few cars here. I've compared them to the real cars, and they're pretty. It's pretty accurate. I'll just put it that way. Let me see if I can get my sources back here. My sources have all disappeared just by turning this thing on, which is just wonderful. So if I click on scenes, that's the mixer. I don't really need that because I don't really have any viewers yet. My sources, where are my sources? Alright, I'm going to have to go without them. I don't know why my sources are completely gone. That's great. But, you know, I'll click through a few cars here. You can listen to... So right now we're sort of tuned in on the Porsche. Let's go inside the Porsche for a minute. Bad choice. So we are now inside of the Mercedes GT3. Let me turn up the volume on these. Outside of it. Let's go up to the Lexus. Oh, it's Audi, excuse me, Audi. Totally different sound, much higher pitched. Even inside the car. Now check this out. When he goes, when this Audi goes underneath this overpass, you hear a distinct difference in the sound. Coming up here in a second. If you've ever driven underneath a bridge, you can hear that woof when he goes underneath the bridge. Looks like he's pitting. So let me change cars here. To Lamborghini. I've spent some time on YouTube listening to these cars, real cars, and it's definitely a match. Oop, I didn't mean to do that. Let me go inside the Lamborghini. I won't focus on the visuals today, but you can see that they're just amazing. All the button pushes, when you press a button on your controller, he'll press it in the car. Lamborghini sounds amazing. Really, really sounds rock solid. Let's go find the Lexus. There's a Bentley going in the pit. Mercedes. That was a Audi. Audi, all the Audis. It just looks so good. Where are my Lexuses at? behind the car, make it a little bit easier to demonstrate to find it. Audi. Let's just jump into the Ferrari for a second since we're here. I've driven a car, I don't exactly, obviously not this exact car, but I've driven a similar car. Definitely is authentic. My Porsche does that too. It makes that popping noise. My real Porsche. This is a great sim for multiplayer. I just have to tell you guys, if you haven't spent time in multiplayer, jump in and race. It just is so immersive. Alright, let's jump up here. Let's see. Lambo, Porsche, Mercedes, Audi, Audi, Bentley. I haven't jumped into the Bentley yet. Such a boat, man, but just a freaking fast car. Sound is great. So just back to the premise, right? The premise of what I'll be covering is that, turn this down a little bit, just to recap. So that, you know, again, the definition of a simulator, if you're just tuning in, is a machine with a similar set of controls designed to provide a realistic imitation of the operation of a vehicle, aircraft, or complex system. Simulation is an imitation of the operation of a real-world process or system. The act of simulating something first requires that a model be developed. This model represents the key characteristics, behaviors, and functions of the selected physical or abstract process, system or process. So my big ones are sounds, visuals, physics, setup, customization, and is it usable? And is it fun? I mean, is it, you know, generally, it's got to be fun if you're not going to spend the time in it. So that will do it for today, but that is part one, a case for Assetto Corsa Competizione. I hope you'll join us out there, do some multiplayer racing, and enjoy it as much as we're all enjoying it. Take care. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Car Hero is out. Please subscribe.